So I'm gonna give you guys a good idea what it's like to put 28s on a 4-door, 2-door, it really don't matter, and kind of give you a better idea, because I see a lot of cats asking questions on what they need to do. So I'm gonna give a video instead of post pictures and kind of give a description the best that I can to help you out. But these are the trailing arms here. These trailing arms came from Lifter brand. They're not bad arms at all. But as far as your trailing arms, if you buy an aftermarket trailing arm, make sure you measure the aftermarket arms compared to your OEM arms, and they gotta be exactly the same length with the arms closed. If the arms closed are longer than your OEMs, do not use them, because they're gonna throw your pinion angle off way too far on your drive line. So when I'm talking pinion angle, this is your rear end to your drive line, as of course, as like most of you know. Your pinion angle is going to be, let me back up a little bit. Your pinion angle is going to be down or up. Well, let me grab a degree so I can show you guys. So with the degree, this is the degrees of my angle of my rear end. This is after it's been adjusted. The arms have been adjusted. Top and lowers have been adjusted and everything. So that's what you really want to kind of shoot for. How I know I got it correctly, after doing the drive line and putting the suspension on, I took it to a drive line shop. That's what they do. They specialize in drive lines for four-wheel drives, big trucks, whatever. So I took it to them and I let them adjust my drive line to get my angle just right. When we did it, up here on my yoke, as you can see right here, up in my yoke, my yoke was so far out of my transmission that it was going to end up causing issues. After they adjusted, you can see I only came out of my transmission maybe a half inch. That's a big maybe. I don't have a tape measure, so I don't eyeball it, I can't tell you. But you can see that it's out just a little bit, and that's okay. There's no issues with that. It's not gonna cause no problems. It's not gonna leak, and that's okay. So, and I also, a lot of people are like, well, do you have to trim a little bit? In my opinion, I put air shocks on this car for a reason. I put air shocks on them for the sake of, when I put my music in this car, all my system, subs, amps, everything, all the trimming, all the wood, this car's gonna wanna drop. I don't care what springs or whatever you put in it, it's gonna wanna drop. If it drops and I have an issue on my fenders where I have to cut a lot out, and instead of where I could just lift the car up from air, then I'd rather do that. So I put air shocks on mine. Of course, I still had to trim a little bit. I didn't trim tremendously. You can see my trim mark starts right here, and it goes along, right along where the hole is for your trim. So I trimmed just a little bit, like not so much that if I didn't point it out, you couldn't see it. And especially when the trim's on the car, you're really not gonna see it. And so I basically, at this point, I can squat this car and it won't have no issues. I don't have no spacers, I don't have no adapters. This thing is bolted to the rear end like it should. And that's basically what I did in the rear. Of course, I have longer studs. I don't advise people putting big heavy rims on these older cars, on these stock studs. I would advise you get a longer stud so you get a better bite. You have a less greater chance of breaking a stud, especially if you got some horsepower. I would really advise you do that. As far as my front end, I'm not gonna be able to really get in there and show you, but I could try. These are heavy duty coil springs from, of course, the 2-door 80s model Caprice. And then I got heavy duty coilovers inside there. And then that's all I really did to the front, was just change them, and it lifted it enough. I didn't have to trim on my fenders or nothing. Of course, I pulled this out. When I pulled this out, once I pulled this out, then we took that original brace and we cut it. I got this zip tie here to hold this stupid plastic back, but we took this arm here, cut it, And then we took an all thread and then we welded our bolts to the original brackets. And that way, once I pulled this fender out, then I could adjust that arm to keep this fender from never wanting to go back in. It'll always stay out. So no matter over time hitting bumps, this piece of fender will never want to go in because that arm is solid in there and it's going to keep it from going in. And that's just basically the nutshell of this. It's really not hard to get 28s on these cars, 26s. You just have to buy the right equipment and do it correctly. Once it's done correctly, you're pretty much good. I'll give you guys a good look at these upper arms if I can. Of course, the upper arms from Lift the Brand came a little bit too long, so I had to have somebody, the guy that adjusted my rear end or my drive line, my rear end, I had him take those upper arms and cut them to fit because they were way too long. It was making my pinion angle way too high. So he had to cut them, shorten them, and re-weld them, and then put them on a lathe, and then do his adjustments from there. Other than that, everything seems to be fine with this car. You know, it runs good now. I don't have to worry about bumps. I've test driven it since I put all this stuff on, and for the most part, it does good. It runs good. It hit bumps. It don't scrape. I got the box and stuff in the trunk right now, and it does fine. The transmission ain't having no issues like a lot of people think with big rims. But of course, I'm not racing the car. But other than that, it does fine. So I guess if that's as good a description for you guys, that's the best I could do. But yeah, if you have any questions, just hit me in the inbox.